Hello, and it's time for an update on the redevelopment of Woody the Cedar Strip WAW. So I've got the plug, I think, pretty much finished for the nose. I added an air intake, and I made sure I cut that hole to pretty much the right size. Smooth that out a little bit more to pretty much the right size for the end of the boom to connect to. The boom, at least my intention for it, is for it to be carbon fiber, and it'll attach then to that air intake, and I will make sure that the inside of the boom is hollow so that the air can flow through that in and cool. The other thing I've been working on, and aside from maybe redesigning a new seat, the only other thing that's left is the bridge, and I've been working on that off and on for quite a while, but I think I finally got something that works. So the boom will sit up here. That'll give it at the top of the boom roughly a 10-inch height, and that's where the crankset will attach to eventually. It'll be, out here in the nose. I think it's close to a 29-inch run, so it's a fairly long boom. The chain, the upper chain, there'll be a groove cut in here for that to pass through, and there'll be a groove cut in the bottom for the lower return chain. And then this indent here is where one of the bolts goes for the steering column, and the same on the other side. And the idler will sit in here. This will get cut out, but that's just there to provide support. And then this access panel in here, that panel is there so that you can pull the screw out from the idler, because the idler sits right in here. So I believe I have measured 50 times so that I only have to cut once, and I still I know here it's not sitting flush with the ground, but that's just because there's a couple of little brackets underneath here for the steering column. All right, new update. Sorry, the lighting in the garage is not the best. I have just added these side supports, and there should be enough leg clearance, I believe. I need to check that versus probably here, but anyway, I did some measuring off of the Quest, which has kind of a similar design there. There's some flex down in here, and adding these in should fix that flex. And then I've also added these small side pieces that I'm going to reinforce, and that's where I'm going to run through the bolts to support the seat, and that'll get quite a few layers of carbon fiber. And once these kind of dry in place, I guess they are now, all that this would need, besides me just verifying that I got enough room on the side for my leg, all that I need is then to put the sheetrock mud on it and smooth it out and stuff, and that's something that I'll work on next weekend. But now I think it's time for a bike ride in the Quest. Once this and the nose are laid up, then it's a matter of installing those and making the supports for the handles. Time for another progress update on the Cedar Strip WAW rebuild, and I have now finished laying up the nose. In fact, the nose was laid up a couple weeks ago, and turned out relatively nice. I've got one dry spot there, but I think that's about the only one. I just cut the access hatch to get to the pedals and such, and now I am working on getting it off of the plug. And actually I was working on that last Friday, but it's stuck down here in the nose area. So the tape that I have on there is marking the line where I'm going to cut the top off so that I can get in there and hopefully wedge this lower section off of the plug. It's loose most of the way around, for instance here on the side, up here on the top, and so on, but I cannot get all the way down in, and that is of course an issue with doing the plug this way. If you were doing it in the inverse direction, it wouldn't be such a problem, because you just cut it and, you know, tape it back together with carbon fiber tape and then make your female mold or whatever off of it. So it shouldn't be a problem cutting the top off and then just using some tape to tape it back on. I mean, look at the Quest. That's how they do it. You know, the top is a separate piece, and up in the very front, you can't really see it anymore, but there was a line along here that I covered when I repainted, and these two halves are just taped together on the inside, and it still works just fine. So I don't see any structural issue with cutting the top off of the of this nose. And down in here is where the boom is going to attach, so I'm planning to cut over the top of that to leave that part as strong as possible. So that's the next plan. I'm not necessarily thrilled to have to do it that way, but you do what you got to do to get it off the plug. I can't ride it with it, you know, stuck on the plug. All right, I have had success. I got the nose off of the plug. I also seem to have cut my knuckle, which is not surprising. This stuff is sharp. Don't know when it happened. I didn't feel it happen, but whatever. The plug's a bit worse for the wear, which is to be expected. And I can tell you that the auto body filler, the Bondo, did not have a good experience with this. It's besides the fact that it eats away at the foam, it's yeah, I don't like Bondo. But anyway, here's the nose. Top cut off, quite flexible as one would expect, but that's okay. The top is more of a rain cover than anything. And then the bottom, and of course there is some stuff stuck to it. That's nothing new for me, but up here in the front it is good and stiff, which is good because of course that is where the end of the boom will attach. So success, I did finally get it off. I had to wedge in this yardstick, and then I could kind of pry it loose from around here. The plug will go up into the garage attic in the storage in the event that I ever need to fix anything. But now all that's left with the nose really is just to fit it to the body, and I can't really do that until I finish the bridge, because I have to be able to get the bridge in. So the next project is to get the bridge laid up and installed.